speakers to be free and say what they'd like. We'll stream, and then we'll also record and share as much as we can as well. We do have a few sponsors. You can see our sponsor link, and we always welcome new sponsors. You can, if you're interested, you can check that out there. And of course, you see our agenda for today there as well. So we haven't posted the September recordings yet because we're waiting on a couple speakers to confirm a couple things. But hopefully, I think this week we'll post at least what we can and go from there. And then, like I said, most of the sessions today we should be able to post as well. Our afternoon speakers are actually in transit, so knock on wood, weather looks good here in Seattle, so hopefully everybody is on their way and that'll all work out well. So we're going to talk a little bit about MMS and do a bit of a recap there. And you can see NWSCUG is going to present on endpoint vulnerability management. He's actually going to be remote today. He's often with us in the room, but due to his schedule, he's going to be remote. But the afternoon speakers are going to be here in person, so provided flights and all that stuff works out. Okay, so let's talk for a little bit just on MMS. I wanted to call out a few things. I'm just curious who attended MMS Miami. Okay, we had a few here. Good. Thumbs up. Good time. Yeah, good time. All right. I grabbed a few pictures. You can see a couple of things that we did along the way here. You see these crazy shirts. That's what the speakers had on. We had a different shirt for each day.
It's this funny looking guy, right?
Who's the funny looking? Yeah, Harshit is here in person. Yeah.
Yeah, nice shirt.
Yeah, we had a really nice time though, right? We had some outdoor lunch, outdoor reception, which was really fun. The pool I never got to myself. I know a few people did. We even had some morning walks. Jordan Benzik offered some morning walks, so that was nice. I just put one shot of a session on here as well, but really good time for the week.
Oh, who doesn't know about MMS?
Nobody? Anybody? That's good. Good. Getting the word out. So yeah. So it was really good. Just a few stats here. Over 300 attendees. Yeah, Michael Davis, all his friends, MMS of life. Michael. Yeah. 51 speakers. 300 plus attendees. We had a really great turnout. Things really worked out well. If you're not familiar, I helped put on MMS, Harjit, and several others helped as well. And we have the one in May in Minneapolis, and then we started the second one because we were selling out the Minneapolis session. So we were in Miami, just like we were a couple years ago.
Just to point out, registration is open for the spring.
That's right.
Event now, so you missed the early bird if you
Oh yeah.
already, but
Yeah,
you can
we
get
sold out early bird very quick. We have 75 registered already, so it's a good start.
a good start.
Yeah, so very good. And
But keep this in mind, right? You see the numbers, you're thinking like, oh, wait, it's 300, it's kind of small. The destination MMS conferences like Miami and so on and so forth are generally kept smaller. So the one in Minneapolis is the largest, right?
yeah, 750, yeah, we're full at that one. So yeah. So hopefully we sell out for MMS Minneapolis. And I'll show you another slide in a minute, but you can go to our mmsmoa.com site and find more information there. I also have a link here for the recap and sizzle reel. I think we have one or two still we need to post, but you can check out a couple things there. Also through the categories over here on the right-hand side as well. So I say 75 core sessions. Those are the things that aren't in the beer and cabana type of session. So I'll post a link in the chat so you can, if you haven't been to MMS, you can kind of see our schedule. It's 3 days in Miami. It'll be 4 days in Minneapolis. Beer sessions are at the end of the day, a little more fun, still a lot of knowledge sharing.
Right, that's what I was going to ask you to clarify.
Yeah. We call it beer. We should probably call it, I don't know what the right word is, but it's not, the focus isn't beer, but you get to have a beer or wine if you'd like.
Evening sessions.
Yes, evening sessions.
How many of you here haven't attended MMS at all? One, a bunch of you. Okay, good. So the last sessions of the day, they are usually the one that everybody goes to, the whole entire gym bang. And they're called beer sessions, but they'll have AMAs and quiz shows and things like that. So a lot of fun. We give out, tickets for drinks and stuff like that. That's why we end up with.
Really is every day is a long day. We start at 8 and we finish at like 7. Yeah, the last session starts at 5. So long days. I think some people, it's their first time. They kind of assume a conference, you can kind of skip out that last day. And if you do, you'll miss some bits. So
And then Cabana sessions, you should clarify that too. When is the Cabana session?
yeah, Cabanas, because we were in Miami, it was a good time. I don't think I had a picture there, but you can definitely find some on social where you can schedule time with Microsoft or with speakers.
We started that in Phoenix.
Yeah,
And we were at a resort in Phoenix and they had these, by the pool, these little cabanas, right? And we started having sessions there, but the sessions are mainly catered for, you have Microsoft people, like engineering and stuff like that. They have schedules. They sit, they wait for you to come by, you schedule yourself to meet someone for 20 minutes. Or we have speakers, right? MVPs or whatever they're presenting. They're also scheduled to help you out with your questions.
Yeah, the cool thing about those two is 2019 was my first one that I went to. And I think in 2019, so we had the campaign sessions there because it's Minnesota and you don't have cabanas. And between all the people that rotated through the Microsoft camping tents, one, there's beer. So, if you go to MMS, go to one of those sessions and just talk to them about the weather and get a free beer. But we did, I think, was it like 17 or somewhere in like the 17 to 20 range of things where we're like, hey, it'd be really cool to see this. And a lot of those things came out either in that release of Config Man that was a couple of months after MMS or very shortly after like the next release. So prime example, like I went in and said, hey, if you go into device collections, into a sticky device collection, so like you've double clicked on it, you're looking at all the devices in it, you go and you still have that device collection name over on the left side. If you right clicked on it, CM Pivot and REM scripts were brand new at that point. You didn't see them, they didn't show up. So if you went to like the device collections, you found a collection, you right clicked on it, you got the option for CM Pivot, you got the option for REM scripts, but if you went to the sticky one, it wasn't there. That was a simple UI fix. The Microsoft guys in the tent opened up the UI editor for the console, fixed it, put it in their dog food build, and then 2 months later, we had the MMS release of Config Man.
The neat part is that, so
Yeah.
they got a couple of things going on, right? You got hey, I've got this problem in my organization with Config Manager, Intune, whatever it is. And you go up there, you sit down, you pull up your laptop and say, look, see, I'm getting this error, or, I can't get around this thing. So then they troubleshoot that with you right there, right? They're working around the problem and they may discover that it may be a bug or something. So they'll file it and they'll work on it. The other one is about feature requests and stuff. So they'll take a feature request and like, oh, okay. So some of them will start working on it. And then on the last day of MMS, at the last session of the day, that's when they'll come up and they'll show you, hey, so we had, someone come up to our Cabana session this week and this was a request. Here's what it looks like, kind of a thing, right? So it's pretty cool.
yeah, no. The Microsoft devs, they really give us a lot of feedback. They really enjoy it because they actually get to come out of the basement, right? And actually talk. And I mean that in the nicest way. If any of my Microsoft devs are listening, but it's great to get in the sunshine of the cabana and they actually hear from customers, right? It's you hear the Microsoft bubble or whatever. Sometimes it's hard to get closer to customers, so it's a great opportunity. So yeah. Let me see, I have one or two more slides.
And small sessions too.
Yeah.
If you haven't been there, that's the great thing about it. Like this dialogue that we have in a room, if you guys actually talk to us, this is what it's like at MMS in a lot of the sessions.
Yeah, they're really long. We normally say for a session, it's about an hour, 15 minutes. And then you get another 30 to 45 minutes before what we call a student Q&A. So it's really a 2-hour slot for a session. So it's really about having that conversation, getting all your questions answered. So we really like that. We think that's part of the secret sauce, right? And we keep our speakers wearing their speaker garb, even if it's a funny, flamingo shirt, because we want attendees to be able to find speakers, have conversations. I just posted this. This is a first time being shown. We're still collecting feedback from our sessions, but these are the top sessions that we have feedback for so far. We always push our attendees. Give us feedback. We have kind of two levels. We have session feedback, and then we have conference feedback. I'll say most people don't give feedback, right? And we really are always begging. Speakers love it as well, right? I mean, Rudy, packaging and deployment, 80% you never learn, right? This wasn't really how to package, but it was the process of packaging, right? And how did those things that we don't get to do. Very well received. Rudy did a great job. And who was with you?
Matt,
That's yeah.
Yeah.
So, but all the sessions were rated really well. He was just top of the list based on the number of people that actually submitted. It just gives you an idea of the kind of sessions we get. You see some of these mentioned option one, that means there was also an option two with them. Since we don't record sessions, right, we want speakers to be pretty free in what they say and things like that. Some of these
sessions,
What's that?
they're popular sessions.
Yeah, they're popular sessions. We basically have them live twice so that, due to conflicts, right? The worst part of MMS is that you have to choose which session to attend because, there's normally more than one. The second worst part is trying to schedule our speakers so that they're not speaking in two sessions at the same time. That's always hard to do as well. But that's why we have two, option one, option two for a lot of sessions, so that, you give a second chance to attend that session that had a conflict or whatever.
So apart from the technical sessions, we also do soft skill sessions. It's just needed, right? I mean, as we all have to learn something else other than tech. So I tend to do a lot of like the social media kind of sessions as well at these conferences. We had Donna did what was that? A knitting thing?
Yeah, and a needlepoint
thing.
Yeah.
Years ago, she did one on IoT, like her cameras. She had like a whole camera setup and
Yeah.
stuff, and she was talking about that. That was really cool.
Yeah, we had one this year. One of the beer sessions for closing night was home automation. So,
Yeah.
that's still tied to tech. You can still probably apply part of those rules to your day job. But yeah, I'm not sure what Rudy's laughing about, but let's find out.
The worst part about that is poor Andrew's wife. So Andrew was one of the speakers on that session for home automation. And he was sitting there in this closeout beer session where many of us had a few beers, and he's changing the volume on the TV that his kid's watching at home. I'm like, your wife's gonna kill you. He's like, oh, she's used to it.
Yeah, I popped into that session. It was phenomenal. Like he was showing his map of the internal of his house and external. And he's even got sensors in his couch. Like, so like, I think if it detects like you're near the couch, or sitting on the couch, it turns on the lights or the TV or whatever. I'm like,
Yeah.
and he's there, like, he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this now, do that now. And
Turning on his outside lights. I mean, if he opens the gate to his pool, all the lights in the house flash unless he like deactivates something first because he has a kid. Doesn't want him to fall in. Yeah.
And speaking of that, I mean, that session or any other sessions, if you think we'd be interested in having those here, and also online, send us your feedback. If you think that home automation would be a nice one to throw into one of these, we can talk with Andrew and a couple others and maybe we can do something there. Another one that we've done in the past, I can't remember, did they do it this year? Brewing beer with Azure is so Scott, it's using Azure to monitor your brewing process, right? So.
That reminds me of the old Cortec, was it SCOM that Cortec did a blog on and how to monitor the coffee pot?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but to be clear, it's not all about beer at MMS, right? But we have some fun sessions at night. Everybody has a good time, but
We have wine too.
it's fun. Yeah.
so one of the things that's unique about MMS, again, like, you saw the pictures, right? You saw the different shirts and stuff. So speakers always stand out so that you can easily identify and you can go approach. So our mantra that we push at every MMS is that you're not above anybody else, whether you're a speaker, right? So if you approach, and they could be sitting at the long table, because we don't have speaker rooms and stuff. We don't want them hiding anywhere. So they're out in the open. So if they're sitting down, they're working on their session or whatever, and you walk up, they generally will talk to you. They that's the nature that we impose on them. So we stand out, we'll wear different kind of shirts and stuff. This year in Miami was a lot of fun because we had different shirts for different days. This has never been done before. So at least we didn't have to wear stinky shirts.
Just for you, Arjun. Yes.
What confused me is we had to wear Tuesday on Sunday.
That's right. Yeah.
Our heads up.
Yeah.
Yeah, MMS is a great event. Like it's technical, you're not gonna get marketing thrown at you. It's really, here's how you do such and such. It's a lot of technical people talking to technical people.
And a lot of attendees will ask like, is this recorded? Can it be recorded? Because we don't do that. We can have genuine, open conversations. So we have a lot of Microsoft folks there too, who tend to like speak a bit more openly. If it's recorded, it's gonna be good.
Yeah, and I will say, right, if I know something's recorded, I pay half as much as I do, right, otherwise, so that's a good thing.
And the thing is, if you're somebody or you see a session that's really good and you say, hey, I'd like to see that and bring it back to my user group or something along those lines, talk to the speaker. They're usually more than happy to want to do the session again somewhere else or whatever. So for a user group or something along those lines. So, yeah.
I've been to a couple of them and I keep telling myself I'm new, right? But it's a networking with other same like people and sharing that knowledge and learning from the other groups. So you really create this community of people outside of MMS, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think so too, and it's not obvious here, but at the lunches, there's actually table topics on the lunches when you go to Miami Beach. So it's just another way to help, people that want to talk about, updating or whatever, right? That's another place they can get together. So we encourage as much as possible and would love anybody's feedback, good, bad, or ugly. We're always trying to make that better. So if you ever have ideas on how we help bring more people together, because that's us, right? That is the key, is meet somebody new, have a conversation, take some stuff home, you have a good connection. You'll find that you're not the only one that's in this, whatever predicament that you're in.
It's all not just work, right? I mean, some of you have been to MMS, you've seen it, right? We do have fun, right? And we go out of our way to have fun too, to keep that excitement. So in Minneapolis, sometimes we do, what are those escape rooms?
Yeah, escape rooms
Things like that.
mini golf.
So those are covered by MMS, like it's not every year, but every now and then. And then a group of people will say, hey, should we go for the 1 o'clock one? And should we go to the 2 o'clock, whatever? And then they'll group up there and go and you people you just met probably. And then by the time you come out, you're like great friends. And then you're going out for lunches and dinners and drinks. That's what we do.
Yeah, and at last MMS Minneapolis, Wally also did some frisbee sessions.
Disc golf. Right?
Yeah, disc golf. Yeah. Harjit, I saw Gary Block posted a question asking if there's shirts that could be raffled like yours, not yours, but like yours.
Rattled away.
A Clippy shirt, we could give that away instead of an Amazon gift card. Watch for that for the future. Yeah. But we're not gonna raffle Harjit. I promise you that.
Unwatched.
You don't need it.
Pre-warned.
There's a shopping center downstairs, right?
Yeah, so let me see, I had 1 or 2 more slides, and then I was gonna ask these guys to ramble a little bit if we still have any. So just point out a few things, right? There's the website, mmsmoe.com. Like I mentioned, MMS 2024 is already open, registration, so May 5th through 9th. I hope we're gonna sell out. I don't want to jinx anything, but things are looking really good so far. So, talk to your management, blah, blah, blah. Let us know, because one of the things, we opened this registration up a lot earlier this year. We're curious for planning purposes if that's helpful to you guys or not. We haven't opened up our Fort Lauderdale one yet. That'll probably be January, February, sometime in there. So we'll open that registration up. But definitely love your feedback on that. There's more detail. There's some differences between Mall of America or the traveling or the other editions.
Do you want to mention CMP?
Yeah. So we also have call for sessions available right now. I'll go ahead and show you where that is as well, because we're always looking for more people to speak. Let me find a page here.
Hey, what about Midway?
Yeah.
Question from the chat. What about MMS Midway?
Not yet.
Yeah. So mmsmoe.com/submit-a-session. I'll post that in the chat a little while as well. But we welcome submissions here. So if you're interested in presenting on something, you read all of our stuff and agree to everything, then you submit your session down here at the bottom. We haven't really talked about it, but all of our sessions have 2 presenters. We think the co-presenter is another secret sauce we have, right? It helps 2 people be able to talk. If you're presenting and you're the only person presenting, it's kind of hard to even think sometimes, right? Because you're always talking. But so we
You don't have to come up with your seconds, but you can recommend, right? You don't always get that person that you really want, right? But you submit your sessions, make sure you have good description, good takeaways and things like that. Once it comes in, Greg and his team will actually go through and then like, you know what? Because someone else who had also submitted a similar kind of a session, and then they'll pair you up with them. And it could be a first-time speaker with a seasoned speaker and things like that. So
yeah, I'll post that in the chat. So definitely, if you're interested, and of course, if you haven't presented before or things like that, it helps when we're doing session selection to see or know that you've done some presenting, right? We want people who can present, but user groups are a great place to do that, right? So there's plenty of runway between now and then. So if you're interested, even if it's not an hour session that you want to present right now or something like that, let me know, or we can find the user group where you can, submit a proposal or present. So we're always looking for people to present. Doesn't have to be an hour long. Like I said, if it's 15 minutes, that's fine for a user group. But when you get to MMS, like I said, an hour and 15 minutes is the normal session time. And like Harjit was saying, the problem with having co-speakers is that if I submit one thing and I request 3 different co-speakers,
Yeah.
right, and then everybody else does that, we have more speakers than we have attendees all of a sudden. So we can't always guarantee your co-speaker, but if you're pairing with someone that has presented in the past or things like that, that might up your chances. But if you have any questions, you can email me. But we welcome session submissions, things like that. Just looking here to see if there's anything in particular. Any chat stuff. Yeah, there's your hardship raffle. MMS Midway, yes. Maybe we'll get back there someday, Paul. That was the one that was canceled due to COVID. So we had to cancel that one.
Tell your manager it helps you keep updated on what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah. Yep. Very good. Okay, so would love to see if there's any more comments, feedback inside the room or online about just MMS in general. Because I'm going to step away to order some food here in just a minute to make sure it gets here on time. But this is where I'll ask Harjit and Rudy to do a little bit of a dance. And if you want to go into more detail, maybe on the sessions you presented as well, you could do that too.
I can't do
One comment I have is that I'm friends with Garth Jones up in Canada. And Garth always says, one fact, I lived with Garth for 3 years. So when I was working in Ottawa, he rented him and his wife were very generous, rented out a room for me so I didn't have to, had a nice place to stay. And anyway, he always commented that the destination is a great event to bring your wife to.
Yeah.
Or your spouse, I should say. You shouldn't say wife because there could be ladies out there who would, bring their husband, right? So anyway, Garth said, bring your spouse because it's more of a smaller event and there's, spouses there and they can get together during the day while the rest of the folks are doing sessions and
So
stuff.
to piggyback on that, I have to say that MMS, among a lot of the other conferences, is very inclusive. We really do care about families and kids. And we've had Johan has brought his kid, a few years ago, right? There's a little kid running around in the big conference room and stuff like that. It's fun. It's nice, right?
Gary brought his 15-passenger van last time. Gary's on here. How many kids did you bring, Gary?
But no, it's really inclusive, and you're right. Bringing your family or your spouses to especially a destination one, they get to see a different place, right? And 2, you know what? I feel when I do that, it's like my support system is my spouse, right? Who lets me do the things that I do and I shine and right? So it's another way for her to see, oh, this is your tribe. These are the people you talk about all the time and stuff. And this is it's true.
Yeah, is that good or bad?
Yeah, and when we were in New Orleans a few years ago, somebody actually helped organize some things for spouses and things to do. So we got to give them a chance to connect, things like that as well. But yeah, definitely at our our destination ones, there's a lot more families, I think, that
The
come.
Minneapolis one, maybe not so much because once you get in there, you don't leave. So you don't see sunshine.
Yeah.
Because you're in the mall.
That can
Be in the
be,
casino. No sunlight, nothing.
yeah. Yeah, and you know, if you go to the website and you start looking, it is a higher price at what I call the destination ones versus Minneapolis. So, you know, depending on your managers, that might come into, you know, consideration. We pay for lunches at the destination. That's included in your registration, where in Minneapolis, we ask you to just go find lunch, meet some people, and, you know, we're attached to Mall of America, so you can find some food pretty quick there. I don't know, what are the other big things that are different between the two?
So the meals are different.
Yeah, 3 days with the destination, 4 days in Minneapolis.
I mean, the sessions in Mall of America are obviously a little bigger. There's more people.
Of course, in Mall of America, if your family does come, there's the Nickelodeon
Yes.
amusement park in the middle of the thing. So that's that keeps them busy for a couple of
Yeah,
days.
there's stuff for the kids in the mall itself that,
Yeah.
we'll do. The other thing I was gonna say too, is you go for lunch, keep your name tag on. Because the week I was there, every day at lunch, I sat down with somebody different. Who was at MMS, who I have never met before, and we sat down and had lunch and talk and had some great discussions.
Yeah.
And the unique thing is, well, it's the largest mall in the North America, something like that?
So yeah, as far as I know, still.
But yet again, when you go into the mall to find lunch or whatever, and you see speakers and stuff, because they're all still wearing their shirts and
Yeah.
you know, whatever, so you can still like, hey, can I sit in? Can I get up?
It's Mall of America is still a really personable conference. I mean, I went back, was it in like July to Minnesota to visit family with my wife and kids, and we stayed at the Radisson Blue because I could get a really good deal there. It was kind of funny because we went and had dinner once at Fire Lake, and the bartender comes over and takes my wife's drink order, takes my kid's drink order, and walks away. And my wife was like, "What's that about?" I was like, "Oh." And then she came back with my drink, my wife's drink, and my kid's drinks. My wife was like, "Oh, okay."
A couple of comments from the chat. Gary Block said his van got mistaken for the airport shuttle once.
I dropped off the football team.
Yeah. Gary needs a plan B. We know he could be our airport shuttle. So, yeah. Yeah, kids like the MOA version because the pool and hotel and the mall's great. Anthony says, first time attending MMS in Miami this year, great location. Great to pick up Granny's brain, walking up to speakers, all the things we've been rambling about, man sessions.
So the other thing is vendors, right? Sponsors. So some conferences have a lot of sponsors, a lot of vendors. We don't, we try to keep them within, you know, manageable, capacity, but you have, it's intimate, right? It's smaller, they have, you know, either double booths or single booth and stuff, and you can walk up. It's not like the salesy and stuff like that. So you just want to pick up some swag and stuff, they're not gonna mind. But if you really want to have conversations like, what do we have? We have Bachelor BC, we have
Recast,
Control Up and things like that. Dell, we had Dell one time, I think.
And relevant to the conference, relevant to what's being spoken about, not just vendors there because they want to get the list of names to cold call you. It's companies that really kind of interact with the technologies that are being presented to at MMS. So
Yeah, most of them are pretty interactive with the community and, you know, a couple of them support our group here too. So yeah, it's good to see that community support.
Yeah, and what was the breakdown this year on new people, new to MMS? But
Yeah, 72%.
72%.
Brand new to MMS, so.
that's great.
I mean, this was my first MMS, so I really didn't know what to expect going into it. So, I mean, my lead told me about it. My boss approved it and I went and I had a great time.
The Miami one, right?
Yeah, the Miami one. Travel time was horrendous, but you know, there's that.
Yeah, from here, Miami's about as far as you can get from.
Literally point to point.
corner to corner.
So what was your takeaway? What was your?
It was great, actually. It was a little confusing walking into it, because sign up for the sessions that you think are going to be relevant to you. So you try to pick the ones that you want. The speakers don't necessarily know who the audience is, so they don't know the subjects to cover or talk about. Really, the big part of it was, like he said, networking with other people too. I ended up meeting with a couple of gentlemen who were from Arizona who take care of their city down there. And they deal with their police, fire, 911, all kinds of other things. Being where I'm from, we do the same. So we got to talking on subjects of,
That you guys had in common.
that we had in
Yeah.
common for taking care of like police, fire, 911 and stuff like that. And they've had a lot of the same issues that we had, or things that I was able to say, yeah, we figured that out by doing X. And they were like, oh, well, yeah, we're gonna go take that back to what they were dealing with. So it was great meeting people all through there and talking with them, and the different ways people resolve their issues. I didn't get to take any of the cabana sessions. Those fill up really, really fast.
Right?
Yeah, so I would like to go back to the next one and actually talk to them.
Because those are like the 101. It's your special time with, whether it's, experts, speakers, or with Microsoft, and it's like limited time, but you get in, you give your problem, then you get out.
Right?
Right? And then you make that connection, right? Now you know who to reach out to when you get back. So,
Right.
Right. Yeah. Well, I did a session with Andrew Jimenez and Miami, and also with Steve Jessic. So with Steve, I did a session on BitLocker, and was how he did it at his organization and stuff like that, and we piggybacked on each other. But what was really cool was that not only that people came in the session to learn about BitLocker, encryption, and things like that. I kind of moved from MBAM to config manager or Intune, whatever. But there were some people that were struggling because they were using third-party encryption tools, and they want to upgrade to Windows 11, but they can't because they got this blocker that they don't know how to get rid of,
Right.
without doing a wipe and all. So one guy actually, brought this thing up, and it was this third-party tool. And I said, I know exactly the problem. I dealt with this when I joined Microsoft as a customer engineer a few years ago, and I was working with some of the largest customers, and they had this exact same thing. And it was a pain. They couldn't get that support or what they needed to decrypt, but we finally did. And reach out to me and I'll help you out. I think that sold his ticket, right?
Right.
So if you just had that one takeaway and you solved that problem that you were dealing with all this time. So,
Yeah. If you're trying to sell your management on it, look at it that way. If you get nothing out of it except you have one conversation with one person over beer and you find out how to solve some problem that you could have burned 40 or 80 hours on, you've paid for a ticket, you've paid for consulting hours, you've paid for whatever. That's a huge point.
I think another thing is, at least for the Microsoft vendor desk, my name is Joe Lurie, I'm on the Intune product group. We go there as well. So we have the developers on the cabanas, and we have marketing, like everyone, other vendors have their marketing people, again, to collect your names, but also give you swag. But we also bring, like, my team goes out there. So you can actually come to us. We're on the Intune product group. Not as developers, we're either program managers or we own a specific, like you have a question about Windows Update for Business, Aria Carly will be there. If you have a question about settings catalog, Mike Donosky's going to be there. I'm more generally rounded in Intune, and I'm going to be there, right? So you can come to us right at the swag desk, and we've got our own little like high top that we put there. We actually expand our desk a little bit. Hard to say, you can get a single desk or a double. We get a single, but expand it to a double.
right, note yourself.
Anyway, but you can come to us and ask us whatever question you have about AutoPatch, about Intune, about migrating to Intune, about configuration manager. We're experts in the whole endpoint management. So, not just marketing is there for Microsoft. We have our product group in there as well.
Yeah. And the sessions there, right? Like when Greg said, hey, we welcome, your contributions, or if you want to become a speaker, you know, it's about how you are doing something unique in your organization. Let's say you're using Config Manager, but a lot of people use Config Manager, and a lot of people are creating applications or patching or whatever. But there's some unique things that you're doing in your organization that nobody else does, but there are other people that really want that, but they don't know it yet. So I have a friend from Alaska. At the last Miami conference, I actually encouraged him because we talked all the time. He would tell me what he's working on. He's creating these things with PowerShell, creating like oh my God, it's like so deep with how he's doing applications because it's a university, right? But it's in different locations, Fairbanks and all these different places he's managing. And I said, you got to do a session, man. This is amazing. So I encouraged him. He submitted it. He put my name on it, you know, and I helped him massage the, you know, description and stuff like that. Had him add on to, you know, 2 or 3 other sessions, and he got selected. He got selected. I did one session with him. I just like, hey, this is your thing. You do. I'm just a second speaker. You know, we just do bantering and stuff. But then he got paired up with other people as well to do sessions that he didn't submit. So this happens all the time. So I really, really encourage you, if you are doing something amazing, something that someone can learn from, right?
Yeah, that's for here, for MMS, whatever it may be, like the best sessions, the best things you can speak on are your stories. You know, your battle stories about what you encountered, how you solved that issue. And, you know, for me, the session that I kind of came up with first all on my own that I submitted was more around process and something that everyone should be doing something like it, but it's that part that's not technical as much. And a lot of people, I mean, there were 2 types of feedback we got in the session. One was, we already do this, so it's kind of boring, but cool to know that we're doing it, you know, kind of down the line of how other people are. And then the majority of the feedback was pretty much along the lines of, dang, that was so simple, we don't do that. You know, so you don't even have to come up with a genius idea. Like it could just be reaffirming things that are literally so basic that everyone forgets it. You know, you've been doing this for 15 years and you're above that and you forgot everything about steps 1 through 10 and you just know like 11 and 12 because you can get away with it. Yeah. Give your story. How did you get from point A to point B on something?
How many of you are consultants? Yeah, so this is another location, not only to come to get technical things and give technical things, but you also do networking to also expand your business, right? I've seen so much of that happening. One org out of Canada, they do consulting work, they're well known, I won't mention their name, whatever. But someone was looking out, I mean, we have a Discord channel and stuff like that, and there was a mention like, hey, you know, I heard they're here, you know, how do I find them and stuff? And I said, okay, you know, find me and I'll hook you up with them. And next thing I know, I hooked them up and they're having conversation. They're like, they needed the expertise from this other consulting folks to help them solve some of their problems or work on some projects. So, so like the other things that I do is like I said, I mentioned about social media and stuff like that. You guys, everybody say, social media, whatever. I know how to use Facebook. Yeah, I can tell people, you know, whether I broke up my boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. You know, you know, but I use social media very uniquely on how to leverage it as an IT professional, right? Well, it's not just for your career, it's not just for networking, it's for getting information. It's so much out there, but how do you use it effectively? That's what I do. I show that, you know, I'm into everything. Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it now, Facebook, LinkedIn, Threads, this, that, whatever. Wherever I can reach people, and also because not everyone uses the same platforms, right? Some don't like LinkedIn, some don't like Facebook, some whatever. So yeah, I teach people about that. I also do sessions, things like how to become an MVP. I used to be an MVP and I know the process to get there. And I also work internally with the MVP team to, make things happen and stuff like that. So
What's the name of your Facebook one? That's Connect?
Tech Connect, I've got a group on Facebook called Tech Connect, TCHK.
I'll give a plug for that. I've learned a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
on
it's a
Facebook.
good one. It's a good group. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and you're still an MVP. You just got it from Microsoft, so you can't.
That's it.
call it MVP.
Yeah.
So what were some trends that, I don't want to spoil what I saw. What were some trends that you saw at MMS this year? Just as far as like content or ways that the future are.
Was it Intune?
I have a lot of questions about configuration manager. People are still using configuration manager. They want to know how long they can continue to use configuration manager.
Yeah.
Many of them are starting to move, like they've done tenant attached, but none of the workloads have moved over, so there's no co-management yet. How long can they live like that? So I know, and especially in Miami, a lot of the customers we talk to were like fewer than 500 users, like they're small customers. My team, I talk to customers that are 10,000 plus. So it's really nice to talk to customers that are, real life, 500, 150. One woman came up to us. But I had a lot of configuration manager questions. More, I would say I got more of those than into questions.
Yeah, that, how about you?
Yeah, I think that was what I heard too. Miami was quite a bit focused on config manager. And also batching, like Wolfie DS, lots of those questions, like which one do I use? Why do I use this one? Why not? And, where things are headed. And then also like the whole, I think there were a lot of conversation about hybrid and not hybrid. And, friends don't let friends do hybrid, right?
Every time you hybrid autos, every time you hybrid join with autopilot.
Yeah, that's
Right.
Yeah, and from the chat, shout out to isconfigmanagerdead.com. No, it's not. The tagline, so I heard someone outright ask that question. I can't remember who asked it. They asked it to one of the Microsoft people. And the answer that came back was, have you ever heard of the Department of Defense? I mean, as long as the US Department of Defense uses config manager, it's probably going to be around still. Intune doesn't work well on isolated air gap systems. So,
Yeah,
there's manufacturing, there's military government type stuff, there's financial industries. I mean, all sorts of people have that. So config manager is, at least 10 years?
Anywhere as an air gap system, it's pretty much needed.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, you have FAA systems and
Yeah.
FCC regulations and things. Those computers can't touch the internet. The FAA let it.
hospitals, things like that.
Police departments.
Police departments, they're closed systems that just are not gonna touch the internet, so.
Yeah, I used to work for a university for almost 20 years, and which was connected to a hospital, it's like a learning hospital kind of a thing. And same thing, we had like research labs and things like that that just could not get out because they're connected to these $500,000 systems and whatever. Yeah, there was one lab, like, a computer lab and stuff, whoever was managing it just would not get them out to the internet. So patching was an issue, so they were doing it with the drive.
Yes. To go off on the train of Intune versus config man though. This MMS, I noticed there was a lot more content aimed towards Intune than previously. Or at least it seemed like people were talking about it more. And to kind of put it into perspective, like for me personally, the environment that I work in, we have a lot of sites that are kind of slow. We have config man, we have 162 distribution points, I think, somewhere around there. And they're spread out all over between the far other corner of the US all the way up to the far other corner of the not even continental US, out to the islands, down into Mexico, Belize, all over the place, right? And so we have a report that we run every day to check in on the health of our distribution points. And then we have to sit there at least a couple of times a month and start doing CPR on one. you know, maybe we just say it's old and we shoot it and get another one. Like, why are we putting ourselves through that? Why not look at moving towards Intune? Why not look at least starting to shift some of your workloads over? Like, you don't have to cold turkey it. Like, it's definitely one of those things where it could be better together. So if you take ConfigMan, for example, and you absolutely love all your custom reporting, custom inventory solutions that you've spent the last 10 years building out in ConfigMan, keep that. But start looking at what workloads you can move to Intune. So does it make sense to move your application deployment workloads over to Intune, your software update over to Intune? And, you know, do that, spend your time focusing on getting your delivery down, making sure that all your optimization technologies to not kill your network are down.
I think we are, you know, as humans, we like to hold on to what we know, right, from, and then it's hard for us to let go. But then when you look at anything outside of your environment, everything's moving forward, right? We just have cars with carburetors. We don't anymore. We have, you know, fuel injection vehicles, and then so on and so on. Now we've got electric cars, and that's going to be the future, whatever. So same thing goes with technology, right? I mean, yes, we can love and we can whatever. I used to be a diehard config manager guy for many, many, many years. Love it, love it, love it. But the more I dabble with things like, you know, like Intune and whatnot, I'm starting like, you know, I've already seen light, right? It's a lot easier, less components, less wear and tear kind of thing. Like, so it's, you know, it's up to you, right? It's like you can hold on to it for a unique case, and then, you know, you get part of it here, part of it there, and then finally get to the cloud, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's, you know, the plug for me. If I get to a point where I co-manage and I get my application workloads and my update workloads moved over to Intune, I can go from 100 and altogether, I think we have around 170 servers for ConfigMan. I can take that number down to like 3. Yeah. And, you know, get rid of all my distribution points. And the receptionist computer at each office can be the couch. I mean, there's a lot of benefits.
Yeah, great tool for job. And I mean, one of the things at Miami that Microsoft was looking for is what are your blockers, right? So
Blockers, yeah.
always looking for that. And some you'll have that are just unsurmountable, right?
Yeah.
You know, but they want to hear it, right? And then that will help feed their roadmaps for what they do.
Yeah, and if you have a blocker on moving to Intune, moving to native experiences, I mean, let your sales rep know that, let your Microsoft account team know that, because if I'm sitting over there and I'm screaming and saying this doesn't work for me, cool. I mean, one thing, you only have this many devices, but if this whole room starts screaming about it, then that's how they get their feedback.
So I work in the Windows space, Windows 11, that general area. Although I do a little bit with the Intune side as well. But my advice to you as IT professionals, and this, I hear this all the time also, is that don't be blockers for your end users, and don't use them as an excuse not to move forward with things. Because I hear that, oh, it's my end users. My end users, oh my God. No, but actually end users don't have a problem with it. In fact, for example, let's just take Windows 11, for example, right? They're going out to Best Buy, they're going out to what else, Staples and things like that, they're picking up laptops for their kids and for their home and whatever. It comes with Windows 11. They come to work, you're making them use Windows 10. And they're like, why? Hey, I got something really newer. Why am I? So we often hear that as well.
Yeah.
So the push is actually from the end users to IT admins to leadership and stuff to give them that.
Set up a policy to move that start bar from the middle to the left, and people don't even know you moved them. That's the only way they know, is, oh, it's in the middle.
And
Oh,
a cool stat that got shared at MMS, I think it was Jason Sandys that shared it, was something like 80% of Windows 11 devices that Microsoft is seeing. Does that sound right? Or cloud native?
80%?
You said some really high number.
It's close to that. It's in the 77 to 78%.
So
Yeah,
like
close to 80.
high 70%, almost 80% of devices that are Windows 11 in the enterprise are popping up in their view as cloud native. So Azure AD Join, sorry, I'm not calling it what you guys renamed it to.
Central ID.
Intune Manage, and that's it. They're not on-prem AD. I mean, does anyone know when the last time was that your on-prem Active Directory was updated? When some brand new feature popped up?
2016 was the last time the functional level was raised.
The functional level was raised, but beyond that, like actually getting a new feature in AD.
Wasn't there something in 2022?
Well, I mean, there's a ton of stuff in 2025. I mean,
But I mean, it's on-prem AD is barely changing.
There's not a lot of.
Yeah, you get security updates, but you're not getting like this life-changing feature update for Active Directory. That's just not there.
To use a new lap, so you gotta be at a certain level of 80, I think it's at 2016 now, which has been a blocker.
Yeah,
for-
but I mean, if you're not at functional level at 2016. We were at 2023.
I'm trying to
The government-
mud slaps at me.
Yesterday's technology tomorrow. That's the slogan.
I think what I see is, for blockers, when so my job at Microsoft, I work in a team called the Customer Acceleration Team. CAT, CAT, Customer Acceleration Team. And I talk to customers, I said, larger customers, 10,000 seats and above. And I think one of the big blockers that my customers have is I'm not gonna actually give you any hints, because you go, oh yeah, I have that too. They want to basically lift and shift exactly what they do in Configuration Manager, everything to Intune. So it's not like they want to have Intune, Configuration Manager in the cloud, but if they do it this way, they do it with a task manager to install these apps, or they use a task manager to deploy the operating system, including all the 87 apps get installed before the user ever logs onto their laptop. All 87 apps that they might ever possibly launch once has to be there. That's not what Intune is. We're trying to make you think differently. They need Office, we get that. They need a couple line of business apps.
Veranstaltung, die machen jetzt so eine Zusammenfassung davon.
Mute.
The rest of them can come down after autopilot's completed. They don't need all 87 apps at the same
Dauert so
time.
eine Stunde oder so.
The room is muted now.
Hey Siri, unmute the room.
Better, thank you.
So to build on what you're saying though, and completely unrelated to Windows, I'm working on a Mac project right now. And we got it to the point of where we enroll a device in Intune through that out-of-box experience on Mac. And I have gig internet at my home, I'm lucky. By the time I can get through those out-of-box screens, Office is already installed from Intune, Defender is already installed, Edge is installed. And guess what I use like 90% of the time at work? Hi, those 3 apps.
Yeah.
And, maybe Citrix Workspace or your favorite, virtualization environment that you have to connect to, like.
It's just that you have to learn to shift your mindset and your ways of doing things. For example,
Yeah.
you're used to using group policies. And you join a company, you inherited that from someone who was there 5 years ago, now left. But that person created God knows how many group policies. Like, are we using none? Should we? Okay, never mind, leave it. You work there for a few years, then somebody else takes it over, and they keep on adding. Now you got this bloat, and nobody knows, should we keep it or not? And then you come to Intune, but you want that whole kit and caboodle back then. We're like, no, like start slow, like, start adding one thing at a time that you actually need it. Same thing with imaging. We hear this a lot. We want to image our computers. Why? Because, let's say, why we want to go from pro to enterprise. Yeah, sure. Just change the licensing. Just assign the license.
What I love about imaging is that people say, we need to image it again because we need all these apps.
Yeah.
But during that image, you also have to now test every single driver that you're now reinstalling. But the device comes with drivers that work on that device. So why should you have to wipe it and then find those drivers and reinstall them? With Dell and HP, Lenovo, Surface, we're giving you devices with drivers that work. And all we're asking you to do is add a couple of applications and change a license from Pro to Enterprise on it.
I've, for my government customers, the one customer I'm working with, they got rid of group policy, went to cloud-based policies, which have been actually wonderful because with everybody working from home, there's no more, oh, I need to be on the VPN in order to get my updated AD policies. That just gone away and it has made a huge difference. But with drivers, with Intune now, we can actually look for drivers in Windows Update. We just check the box and say, okay, that's it. Machines just, as long as the network card fires up and big man can push the image down, that's all I worry about. And then the rest of it, we'll get later when Windows Update hits it.
David Guy on our product group did a great job with Trax.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. It's a great.
And that was a cool session I saw too at MMS. So I think it was HP and some Microsoft folks that were there that were presenting on how that whole driver firmware management works. And I mean, they're doing a ton of testing. It's not like you're cold turkey downloading some driver out the Dell.com or HP support or whatever. They're going through this whole bidding process. They're slowly rolling that out. So they start slow. If they see failure, they pull it back. If it sees success, and it goes out more and more and more. And you can customize that whole experience for your org to say, well, I need this yesterday. It was a security issue. Or,
Any questions? Yeah, I was just gonna ask.
yeah. But
Comments?
and to build on the whole group policy thing, just because your forklift has tires and you can drive it down the interstate does not mean that you should take your forklift on the interstate.
Yeah.
So, don't copy it over just because you had it.
I just had a question because about the driver update thing. Back in 2021, there was a Realtek driver that was released by Dell and Lenovo that caused teams to crash, all the time. And basically, I couldn't find any way to contact somebody to pull the driver from Windows Update because it was everyone was having this problem. After you're on a Teams call for about 15 minutes, it would cause your machine to blue screen. I'm wondering with this new driver framework, is there actually a way to contact somebody and say, hey, look, I have this documented thing in Intune of hundreds of blue screens from this one driver. Can we do something about it?
If you're using, and I know this sounds marketing, I'm on the engineering team, so I don't mean to sound like I'm a marketing.
I'm not
But
gonna.
if you're using endpoint analytics, we already know that. If you're using advanced endpoint analytics.
I mean, it took me a year.
So in 2021, we didn't have that, right? We had desktop analytics.
Well, no, I had the endpoint analytics and I had the blue screens. But I couldn't get to any. And so I'm a small fish. I have 400 users. I don't have
At a bare minimum, they send a smiley, send a frown in the Intune admin center.
Right.
Actually, a lot of people don't realize this.
Directly to the.
It goes to them and they get a weekly digest. Every product manager gets a weekly digest of all the smileys and all the frowns that were sent to them.
Right.
And why? So that is actually something that's feedback that they actually see.
It not only goes to the team, but it also goes to the person responsible
Yeah.
for that particular solution.
So at the very minimum, you could do that.
Right. Yeah, it's just one of those things that, if a bad driver gets into the stream of Windows Update, it came from Realtek, but was being pushed to Dell and Lenovo devices. And it was well, Microsoft says we don't own the driver, Realtek owns it, but Realtek doesn't want to do anything. It's like this, all these finger pointing. It's like just yank the driver so it stops getting pushed out because it was a year to get that driver finally fixed.
But not on the Surface devices though, right?
No, if you were using the dongle,
That was a marketing talk.
So no, actually, it did affect Surface devices because they had the Realtek chip in the dongle. So if you were using the dongle and using Ethernet, it did affect them. But
Were you asking about the device to be a standard site install drivers and firmware? Okay, sorry.
yeah,
So ultimately,
or the device that doesn't ship with storage drivers in the MSI for the new Surface Go 4, that one.
So ultimately, the drivers and firmware that are sitting in Windows Update are ultimately owned by the manufacturers like Dell, Lenovo, HP, right?
Well, actually, they're owned by the driver,
Well-
Realtek, because it wasn't a Dell or Lenovo, it was a Realtek driver.
Right, but Dell or Lenovo have to approve those for their product line. So this is where we start talking about some really good chips.
Right.
So your hardware identifier for that device is technically owned. It's technically owned by that hardware vendor. So the PC manufacturer that you're using. So reach out to your Dell rep, reach out to your Lenovo rep, reach out to your HP rep, and say, hey, this driver that you're allowing to come down on my device through Windows Update for Business is tanking it.
Right. Yeah, and Lenovo was aware of it, and they were working with Realtek, but it was just one of those things. It's like at the core level of where the drive's getting pushed out. Nobody doing it.
You got to get through. Tell your rep to get through to the person though that manages updates on.
They pull into feature those pause driver updates. So now the
Yeah,
drivers are.
yeah, I was gonna say that if you're using auto patch, just go in and you can stop that update, right? You don't have to worry about.
Auto patch isn't available for education.
Oh. That's- Yeah, well, can't help you there.
That's something that we hear a lot. Just hold that thought for a minute. I also want to say that, anyone here a member of our Customer Connection Program, the CCP? So the CCP is a great place to give that kind of feedback as well. So every single person in this room and on this call should be a member of our CCP. We can put in the chat, aka.ms join MMCCP. You join the Customer Connection Program, you get
NDA.
a backbone right to the people building the solutions. They ask you for surveys, they ask for your feedback, you get into private previews, all that stuff by joining CCP. And aka.ms/join MMCCP. All one word.
Yeah, you should definitely join them. And I think they cover like NDA stuff.
They do. So you'd have to be an NDA customer. So you'd have to agree to sign an NDA for that because you do get inside information, a lot of stuff. Join MMCCP.
Yep.
Posted. Yeah, and that's awesome too, because you'll get these, feedback surveys, I guess you could call them. Like, hey, what would you think about this? What are your pain points in this? Do you want to participate in some preview or test of that? Like, there's all sorts of stuff we get.
Quick question, how many of you are attending Ignite this week? In person, right? Okay. All right, a couple of things I want to give you guys real quick. I know probably like just.
Yep, we can wrap this up.
Yep. Couple of resources for you, really, really awesome. If you look up msportals.io. Great site. If you don't know about it, you know how we have a lot of portals and admin center for this and that, whatever. Where do I go to get, this and that? It's created by our friend
Lynn Ferrando.
from Australia. He now works for Microsoft, but created it before it. So go, you can search for like, let's say Azure. Oh, it gives you the Azure portals and stuff. So that's a good one. Another one is a cmb.ms. It's also created by an internal Microsoft person who works in the Entra, identity space. And if you go look him up, Merrill is his name, Merrill.net or whatever it is. He's got a bunch of other cool tools. So that's your takeaway.
And also, someone posted in the chat the technical takeoff that's happening.
Yes.
Is it later on this month?
Yes. So we got Ignite this week. And then 2 weeks from now, what you hear at Ignite is going to be more deeper technical sessions that's open to all of you. So you go to aka.ms/technical takeoff.
Yeah, some of you know that Ignite some of you have complained before that Ignite has become a little less technical over the last couple of years. So what we did, Harge's team, my team, and some of our vendors and some of our product groups, we got together and we created our own Ignite. And so now we have level between 250 and 400, just 4 days, 4 hours a day, back-to-back deep dive Intune sessions. They are recorded, but we have live people. They're answering your questions during them. And we have like a live office hours and a live AMA at the end of one of the days. So so even though Ignite might be a little less technical, it's more about the announcements and how things work. We have Tech Takeoff, which is the week after US Thanksgiving. This year, it's the week after US Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it was amazing last year. And
just for all those deep dives.
Anyways, you know how to reach me. Come find me if you need to know anything about MMS or Microsoft or Windows or whatever. Social media. Social media.
Might be.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah, thanks guys. Appreciate it.